What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over some tips. I put up a poll asking what everybody would like to see, and a majority of people said that they would like to see some more stuff for white belts. And I had a bunch of people writing me saying that they were having trouble from the closed guard position, and this can be a really frustrating position. They're saying every time they get here, they're getting arm barred. So we're going to look at a few things to fix this position. And I had a really good match with a guy. His name was Elijah, and his legs were longer than mine. He's a little bit taller than me. And I had a really frustrating time, but I could also make it frustrating on the person on bottom if I'm just not giving him anything. And eventually what's going to happen, unless I'm down on points or something, I'm not in a rush from this position. If I start rushing, that's when I put myself in trouble. So during the video when we were having our tournament match, he would just keep attacking, and I would just keep calm. Anytime he would try to sit up, I would push him back down to the mat. But I always made sure my elbows were in and I never overextended. Because if I did, he would put me in the triangle or he would put me in an arm bar or something. I would put myself in trouble. So what I would do is just wait him out. And eventually he would open his legs and that would allow me to start to pass. I wasn't down by any points, so I'm not giving up anything from this position. Now, maybe if I was down on points, that's when I would start rushing and I would try my standing passes. But let's go ahead and go over some common things. So if you're first starting out, one of the most important things is just your base. All right, by widening your knees out like this, it's going to make it so I can't rock side to side. Some people will tell you to go down on your feet like this. I don't really like it because it hurts my ankles. I got terrible knees, so I don't like driving. I like keeping most of my weight on my toes. We call it active toes. That way, once this guard does open, I'm fast at backing all the way out and then starting to pass. The next tip here is my elbows are always turned in and locked like this. Because if I'm starting to push where my elbow's exposed, all he has to do is just pull that elbow and I'm done. So whether I'm walking here and here, my elbows are in to make it tough for him to break me down. Where you're going to start getting submitted is if I start reaching towards his neck, I'm starting to push here, it's easy for a more advanced grappler to submit you. So if you find yourself, well, let's say that Chewy breaks me down, so he breaks my posture, what I shouldn't do is immediately go to the neck. I see a lot of people do this, or they'll start grabbing the head because they think that they're in a safe position, and that's when they're getting submitted. So if I do get broken down, once I get here, I go to the armpits right away. And if I have to, one of my favorite things to do is just take my forehead and put it underneath his chin. So if he's trying to crunch up or he's trying to turn to the side, I'm going to just drive my head right back in to get his back flat on the mat. If I can make his back flat on the mat, it's going to make it harder for him to start to attack submissions. For an arm bar, for Chewy to do an arm bar, an effective arm bar, he has to be in this crunch position where he could turn his hips. So if I just go here and I just start driving my head, and you see like a lot of wrestlers in the UFC, they'll keep crowding the hips like this, and they're just keeping their head in until I can walk myself back like this. I never want to touch my hands on the mat, so if Chewy's breaking me down, I need to make it a point not to go here. When I post, just fall and take your head right on their chin. Right now, if I feel like he's starting to shift out to the side, I just use my head and my hips start to walk. All right, so I'm going to make it extremely frustrating to where he can't move his hips. Now I can work myself up, and a lot of times if you just frustrate the person where he can't get anything going, they're going to unlock their legs and try to go for something, and that's when I can start to pop up and pass. Now, my number one pass that I like to do, besides a standing pass, if I can, I'll stand up and then I'll push his leg down and I'll get my pass that way. But my other one is once I get my posture broken, my favorite thing to do, it's called a log splitter, is I'm just going to push up and start to extend. Once I get here, my arms are going to stay in close to my body, and I'm going to take my knee and put it right behind the person's butt. So we get here, everything's tight. That way if Chewy opens his guard to try to go for the arm bar, he's not going to be able to, because if my arms are like flared out, he's able to move. But if I stay in like this, it makes it a little bit harder. And I'm driving into his armpits and stapling his shoulders to the mat. Now what I'm going to do is just go to a combat base. So once I go here, I don't want to keep driving, because if I drive into him, I'm going to fall down and allow him to start attacking again. So when I go here, I just sit back. So I let go of everything, I sit back. Most of the time, it'll go right through the middle. If they have longer legs, you might still be locked, but that's fine, because now it's easy to step over the legs. So again, those tips, once I get here, I'm in a good posture, right? If I'm in a good posture, that's the first thing. It's gonna make it frustrating. I don't wanna be leaning over the center line because if he pulls, he's gonna knock me down. I don't wanna lean too far back because that's gonna allow him to sit forward. So if I just stay here with my arms untucked in a good posture, he's trying to attack, he's not gonna be able to. Unless I start reaching up here and I'm making beginner mistakes. As long as I stay in here tight on the hips, he starts to move. Even if he's trying to break me down, he breaks me down, I'm immediately here. I drive in, work myself back up, and frustrate the person. You know, it could be frustrating for you if you're constantly getting broken down, but you could also make it frustrating for him just by tucking your elbows in, right? I get these elbows in, maybe you want to try this pass, staple, sit back, cut through, and get your pass. As always, no liabilities.